begin this Wednesday night with a Fox News alert. Joe Biden has been caught mishandling classified documents yet again. For the second time this week, we are now learning that secret material from the Obama administration turned up in another private, unsecured office accessed by Joe Biden during his time as a private citizen. I think it's time for Mar-a-Lago-style raid to happen at Joe Biden's private residences, where he's building a wall, by the way. Or maybe someone in Joe's inner circle. Think about this. Why is this happening twice in a week? Could this be the result? Maybe someone doesn't want Joe to run for re-election? While we absolutely don't know that to be a fact, it's certainly suspicious in terms of timing. But what's good for the goose is certainly good for the gander. Right, Merrick Garland? Right, Chris Wray? They are the ones that personally approved of the raid at Mar-a-Lago and former President Trump's home. This is why Jim Jordan's investigation on the Judiciary Committee into whether or not our FBI is politicized and DOJ weaponized is so important. It is so obvious that many America's powerful bureaucrats, they are using their powerful positions to impugn Republicans and protect Democrats. Now, if that's not the case, then Biden's home in Delaware would have already been raided by the feds. A criminal investigation would already be underway. After all, even Joe Biden agrees that mishandling classified material is an egregious offense. Take a look at his own words.
When you saw the photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago, what did you think to yourself, looking at that image?
How that could possibly happen, how anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that, I mean names of people who helped, or et cetera. And it's just totally irresponsible.
How, Joe? How could that happen? How could you be so irresponsible? Anyway, today our very own Peter Doocy asked the White House press secretary if the president still believes that it's irresponsible to mishandle classified material. Needless to say, Karine Jean-Pierre was not able to answer the question. She had a tough day. Oh, well, take a look.
On these documents, how could anyone be that irresponsible? Isn't that what this president says about mishandling classified documents?
The president spoke to this personally. He spoke to this personally. He believes that classified documents and information should be taken seriously. He takes them seriously, and he was surprised to learn by any records had been. I disagree. Here's what happened. Once
then why is there a Justice Department?
Well, let me explain to you the process. Here's what happened when his lawyers found out that the documents were there. They immediately turned them over to the archives.
But they were
there. But they immediately turned them over to the archives.
They did the right thing.
I'm not going to go into specifics, but what I'm reiterating to you is what you heard from the president yourself, Peter, which is how he saw the process and how he respects and truly respects and takes this very seriously.
Checkmate, Peter Doocy. How can that happen? How could one be so irresponsible? We're supposed to believe Biden takes it so seriously that he left top secret classified material behind for the taking here, there, everywhere for years. But according to Democrats, the mob and the media, Joe Biden is allowed to mishandle top secret classified material. Now, when Donald Trump is accused of mishandling documents, then it becomes a national security crisis. But if Joe Biden does it, no big deal. For example, look at the Washington Post. Their fact checker, so-called fact checker. Who's going to fact check the fact checker? Anyway, Glenn Kessler bent over backwards trying to explain how the two cases are totally different. He may need to fact check himself. Did the Associated Press, the New York Times, they did the same thing. They're running cover for Joe Biden. They're an extension of Karine Jean-Pierre in the White House press office. And by the way, fake news CNN with an article titled, "There are clear distinctions between Trump and Biden's two cases." According to them, quote, the new controversy so far appears to be on a smaller scale. It's now getting bigger. Now, of course, there are differences between the two cases. Well, first of all, Donald Trump was president. Donald Trump had the power to declassify anything when these documents were transported to Mar-a-Lago. By the way, there's no set process for declassification. Joe Biden, as vice president, did not have that power. Second, Donald Trump's documents were stored in a room that had been examined specifically by the FBI. They asked Donald Trump and his team to secure that room with a padlock. At their request, he did so. And by the way, they had full-time security cameras on that door at all times. Anyway, Biden's documents were found now in multiple locations, including one facility bought and paid for by the Communist Party of China, or whoever you want to classify, however you want to classify the $54+ million China donated. And third, the documents at Mar-a-Lago, they were recovered by force less than 2 years after Donald Trump left office. By contrast, Biden left top-secret documents dangling in the wind for over 6 years. According to the intellectual heavyweights in the Democratic Party, Biden is good, Trump is bad. Take a look.
And the intelligence community needs to do its risk and damage assessment about how Donald Trump's very reckless handling of these documents might have harmed our national security.
This is going to be politicized. I imagine it is already been politicized by those on the right and the former president.
If the Trump people represented that they provided all the classified or national security information and didn't, that's a serious problem.
But we see no evidence of deliberate intent or obstruction of justice as we see in the case of Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago.
This was not a mistake that these documents landed, at Mar-a-Lago. This is what he intended. And it also, by the way, shows that they really want to get these documents back. And every second that they're at this beach house in the possession of Donald Trump is a risk to our national security.
Well, we all know that Trump is a liar and a thief. We know that. So it's not that big a jump to say that he obstructed and he lied. We don't think that Biden is a liar and a thief, so we give him the benefit of the doubt.
So the blatant bias, the blatant hypocrisy is probably now worse than ever, but not just from Democrats and the media mob. Again, America's once trusted institutions, they're worse. Just look at the two-tiered justice system we have, and handed down from the FBI and the DOJ. They treated Capitol rioters like terrorists. They gave Portland rioters, there were 574 riots in the summer of 2020, 574. Dozens of dead Americans, billions in property damage, and thousands of injured cops. They didn't have any hearings on that. They investigated Donald Trump over the Russia hoax, even offered an ex-foreign spy $1 million to make it true. But guess what? They won't dare touch the bribery, corruption allegations against the Biden family syndicate. Now, they conducted early morning raids in tactical gear against numerous Trump associates, even Trump himself, and yet not even Hunter, who recovered his, we've recorded his many crimes, gets any of the same treatment. They give Hillary Clinton, she was probably the worst of everybody, a free pass. She mishandled top secret classified documents. She's the one that deleted 33,000 emails, remember, with BleachBit, to take cover in terms of her record and background. We have no idea where the 33,000 emails said or where they are. The media mob, they don't care. Democracy dies in darkness, doesn't it? Or is that just a cute motto over at the Washington Post and not really a principled belief that so-called journalists at nearly every paper, nearly every news outlet are only interested in protecting Democrats and our federal government instead of actually holding them accountable?